All right, folks, welcome back to Yak Math Videos. This is the first video in preparation for the 2020-21 school year. This is for the new calculus students. This is one of the few. We'll see what we do here. Little pre-rec videos with some stuff you definitely have to know going into the fall. Calculus Trig review for fall 2020. I will email all of you this as soon as I see officially who is in the course. This is something you definitely want to get down because we are going to start the year as we have started every year in calculus. And any day I'm with you, we're going to learn a lot because I don't know how many contact days we'll have this year. All right, so here's what I'm going to go over first. Talk about R from geometry, really, R2 special right triangles. We have the 30, 60, 90 triangle, the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now, not sure how it's described to you, but the side opposite 60 degrees is the length of the smaller side times root 3. The smaller side, we just give it 1, or you could call it x. I used to call it just side. And the side opposite the 90-degree angle, which is the hypotenuse, is double the smallest side. So you have a ratio of 1 root 3, 2. All right. 45, 45, 90 is really easy because it's an isosceles right triangle. To prove x, use Pythagorean Theorem, you would get x root 2. Side, side, side root 2. So it's very important to have those down right there. All right. Coming from basic trig, SOHCAHTOA, which means sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. You know, the opposite side from theta divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. We use that. So look at the 30, 60, 90 triangle. 30 would be my theta. Sine of 30 is opposite side of 30 at 30-degree angle divided by the hypotenuse, 1/2. All right, let's look at sine of 60. So 60 is up here. Opposite of 60 would be root 3. Hypotenuse is 2. Cosine of 30, so let's go back to that 30-degree angle. Cosine is adjacent over the hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. Cosine of 60, there's 60. What is adjacent? It's right there. You guys might be like, well, 2 is adjacent. It touches 60. You're right, but 2 is special. It is the hypotenuse. It is directly across from the right angle, so it's not adjacent. It is the hypotenuse. Anyway, cosine of 60 is 1 over 2. Now, we're going to notice something. Notice that. Notice your answers to both of those. First, let's look at the 45, 90 triangle right up here. It doesn't matter if you're looking at that 45 or that 45. Let's just look at the bottom one. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. That is both 1 over root 2. Now, from algebra 2, and I taught you all this, I don't leave a root in the denominator. Instead, I multiply top and bottom by root 2. If I do that, I get root 2 over 2. All right, root 2 over 2. Sine 45 and cosine 45. Look at that, you get the same sine and cosine ratio. Now, I don't know if you noticed something, but sine of 30 is the same ratio as cosine of 60. Cosine of 30 is the same ratio as sine of 60. Sine of 45 has the same ratio as cosine of 45. Notice 30 and 60, I'm sorry, 60 and 30, and 30 and 60, and 45 and 45, both add up to 90 degrees. Okay, that's like a complementary identity there. So what it means is cosine of 90 minus theta is equal to sine of theta. If theta is 60, then cosine of 90 minus 60, cosine of 30 is equal to sine of 60. Cosine of 30 is equal to sine of 60. If I know what sine of 70 is, then I know what cosine of 20 is. Okay? Same thing works here. Sine of 90 minus theta is equal to cosine of theta. So that is just something we can get from that basic right triangle trigonometry. Also, we know the Pythagorean Theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared is the hypotenuse squared. And this checks out. 1 plus root 3. Well, I'm sorry, 1 squared plus root 3 squared is equal to 2 squared. And 1 squared plus 1 squared is equal to the square root of 2 squared. If you don't remember how to square a square root, the square and the square root just cancel each other out. That gives you 2. Okay, the number inside the root just falls out. So check this out. Next page here. Again, pause this whenever, but it is essential that you have this down, folks. I will be nice and sweet and not mean, but the pace does not slow down in calculus. All right, we are going to learn at the prescribed pace. Okay, so unit circle, well, a precursor to the unit circle here. You know that cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2, and sine of 30 is 1/2. All right, so we got that from the last page. Let's let theta be 30 degrees. And this is a degree, sine of 30 degrees, cosine 30 degrees. So cosine of theta squared plus sine of theta squared, what is that equal to? Well, what is cosine? Remember, theta is 30. So cosine of 30 was what? Root 3 over 2. I'm going to square it plus sine of theta. Again, theta is 30 degrees. What is sine of 30? It's 1/2. So I'm going to put 1/2 there. I'm going to find out what it gets. When I square root 3, I get 3. When I square 2, I get 4. When I square 1, I get 1. When I square 2, I get 4. Holy cow. 3/4 plus 1/4 is 4/4, which is 1. That seems like an interesting, like getting an answer of 1 there seems pretty important. Let's try it one more time. Try with cosine 45 is root 2 over 2, and sine of 45 is root 2 over 2. So notice I'm using, my theta is the same, 30, 30, 45, 45. So let theta equal 45. Again, I want to do cosine theta squared plus sine theta squared. So it is a root 2 over 2 squared plus root 2 over 2 squared. When I square the square root of 2, I get 2. When I square 2, I get 4. Holy cow, 2 over 4 plus 2 over 4 is 1. That is the first Pythagorean trig identity, and that's the unit circle shows that, and that is very, very essential for the rest of the time you'll be with me. The unit circle, we'll see later in another video, is a circle of unit radius, i.e. a radius of 1. We just found the first Pythagorean trig identity, and that is sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. The order doesn't matter. It's addition there. Or another way to write that, we don't really write it as sine theta, all of it squared. We write it as sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. All right, you probably know that. Again, this is hopefully all a review from pre-calc. So using that, notice, so this is big. So no, definitely no. That is the first Pythagorean trig identity there. But I can figure out what sine squared theta is all by itself, and we'll be doing some stuff with that in our about 3 to 4 week review unit to start the year. If I move cosine squared over, I know that sine squared theta is 1 minus cosine squared theta. And if I did the same thing and I just move sine squared theta over, I know that cosine squared theta is the same thing as 1 minus sine squared theta. So this is really the same identity, just written 3 different ways. Okay? There it is, folks. In fact, I think I'm going to finish the last video here by showing you the other 2. Well, no, I'm going to end this first video here. So have that down. I'm just writing out things as we go that I think you should know. All right, this is my 4th year teaching calculus. If I don't get it interrupted with, worsening of the pandemic, hopefully it will be our best year in calculus. And this is something I want you guys to know early on, so that first month when we're reviewing everything, that's the only rule for calculus. You gotta be almost perfect at everything before. It'll be easier, it'll be less painful. All right, Yak Math Videos signing out.